just cuts right off. I need like a countdown. I'm thinking I need a countdown like 10, 9, 8. Anyway, hello everybody. Thank you, Dennis, for being here. I always say this when we get started, especially if you're new to watching a live. We only know you're here if you comment. So if you're comfortable with commenting, give us your name. Let us know where you're listening from. Ask us questions, make comments, talk amongst each other. If you know each other in the comments section, if you see somebody you know, go ahead and chat with each other. We want to make this fun, interactive, so the more the merrier. All right, Dennis, you're on. So Dennis is a phenomenal mortgage lender. We know each other from networking, and I love his optimism, his attitude, his work ethic. So Dennis, your turn. You've got the microphone.
Fantastic. Thank you. I love the strident introduction. It gets the mood going for the conversation. I appreciate it. My name's Dennis Sakofsky. I'm a mortgage loan officer, and I work with C2 Financial, which is a brokerage here and happens to be the largest brokerage in the country. And I'm there for a number of reasons, and that actually is one of them. Because of their size, they're able to leverage that and throw their weight around the bit for pricing, and also have relationships with any lender I could possibly need in the country, which is really an advantage. I've been in the business for over 20 years, and I started out in servicing, and then I moved to owning a brokerage, being a mortgage loan officer and owning a brokerage. And now I'm back as a mortgage loan officer for C2 Financial. And I know Tanya through our networking, and I'm really excited about the opportunity to come and have a good chat and conversation.
Yeah, me too. And I want to say hi to Marianne. She's here. She is a phenomenal real estate agent in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And Marianne's phenomenal in that she actually went live with a lender that has a live in Texas. So kudos to Marianne for doing something very brave. And Teresa Moof, she's a realtor in Arizona. So yay, we're having states represented. So what do you love about your industry? I mean, you've been in it a long time, so there's got to be some love going on in there.
Yeah, I really don't consider what I do work, especially when I get to be in front of a client. And that's obviously my favorite part. Is actually getting to interact with people. And I think my strengths lie in that I have experience and that I'm a really, really good problem solver. And that, that's what gets me excited, is about solving problems and creating value for people and helping people achieve their goals that they want to achieve, and getting people excited about these giant transactions that sometimes we're doing. And for the most of us, for the vast majority of people, the only way they are achieving real wealth is through real estate. Yeah. And so in a very real and tangible way, you're helping improve the lives of families and their estates and their larger families. And so if you look at it from that perspective, it's really gratifying.
Yeah, it is. And okay, so I know Marianne's going to roll her eyes, which is totally okay. Hey, Randy.
I won't see it anyway.
I can't see it either. And Teresa's going to roll her eyes, because this is something that I focus a lot on with people in my universe, is knowing what their superpowers are. So I know one of your superpowers, right, is your problem solving skills, and it is a superpower. Do you have another one? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, it is putting me on the spot, and I discovered it was a power, and then I also discovered it kind of was a liability as well. And that is that once I start something, I really have the ability to really focus on it, but I don't let it go until I'm finished with the thing. And that really has always served me very well, especially professionally, until I had a daughter. And now I have a 3-year-old in the house, and sometimes you just need to put something, and sometimes she needs your attention. And my wife has reminded me several times that, you need to change your priority in this moment. And so that's something I'm working on.
Well, and it's a superpower being a dad, right? And being a super dad. Hey, Charlotte. So Charlotte's Dennis, I'll let you know, Charlotte's in. She is a phenomenal lender and manager, super team leader in another state. So Charlotte, just introduce yourself a little bit in the comments. We've known each other for a very, very long time. So I'm glad that there's another lender on the call. That's really cool. So anybody that has any questions, comments, whatsoever, please throw them out there. I know everyone's going to want to know this. I always want to know this. What are some new programs out there right now that you're excited about and want to share with the universe, or at least the California universe?
Yeah. Actually, before we even get into that, I just want to say that I am super optimistic right now. I'm headed into 2024 with a ton of optimism because the mortgage industry and the real estate industry have experienced a ton of attrition. That was the largest rate increase in a short period of time that we've seen since 1980. Yeah. And so the people that remain, for the most part, unless they're getting in new, are seasoned and they're experienced and they're good. I can't remember a transaction that I've done in the last 8 months that had somebody new and inexperienced on it. So yeah, my transactions are going well and smoothly. And there's a ton of opportunity now. We're in an environment where rates are starting to come down, and the larger market, pretty much everybody expects them to continue to come down through at least the election. So I think we're kind of on the precipice of a really great year, and I'm super excited about it. And I think it's going to bode well for mortgage people and for real estate people. It remains to be seen. Hopefully that drop in rates will also mean an increase in inventory in the market.
I hope so. Yeah, I'm sure the realtors are here saying yes, from your mouth to the realtor God's ears, right? Around inventory, for sure. Did you see a lot of loan officers, lenders leaving the industry when rates went up to 8? People freaking out?
Yeah, there's been a ton of attrition. There's been attrition in the mortgage industry. There's been attrition on the wholesale level, where I saw 4 different companies of with around 300 employees each go completely out of the business. Yep. That was on the wholesale level. And then in the individual contributor level, like myself, mortgage loan officers, there have been a ton of people who have left the business. Yeah. And so, you have to know, if you're experienced, you have to know that you have to be able to survive the cycles. You have to, you have to live a little bit lean within your means and survive those cycles. And when you do, now the rest of us that have survived, we're positioned really well for what this market's going to bring to us. And we're going to reap the benefit of that.
Absolutely. And you deserve to. I've been coaching now 10 years, but prior to that, I was a real estate agent for about 20. And so I was in the thick of my real estate career during 2008 and 2009, where all I did was short sales and foreclosures, and watched all my colleagues, find another job. I stuck it out. Mm-hmm. And as soon as we got to the other end, I got phenomenally busy, which was, again, stick it out and reap the rewards on the other end. So Randy has a question. What is your take on multi-generational living? We can answer that. I also want to know, anybody in the chat can answer that too. Go ahead and put your take on that in the chat. This is to be, you guys can't speak up. I can't hear you, but we can certainly read what you want to say about it. Do you have a comment on that, Dennis?
I don't know what that question relates to, whether, from a financial perspective or real estate agent perspective. So I need more.
Well, yeah, and Randy, you can give us more. So this is my perspective on it, and I could be way off on what Randy's thinking. I'm thinking there's more families moving in together because lack of inventory or the high interest rates, that they might be having more families moving in. For me, and I'm not joking, but I'm half joking, so my daughter doesn't freak out. She has a 2-year-old, and I'm like, Grandma wants to move in now, so. And it has nothing to do with finances. So yeah, Randy, you can give us more info if you want. So do you want to go into some of the new programs? Would love to hear it.
Yeah, and kind of tying into multi-generational living is that a lot of times it's happening by necessity. And so to that end, I am looking for ways to create opportunities to create more transactions, and especially in this market when we're seeing parents have to be co-signers to help their children buy, and as Randy is now saying, shared living to
Yeah.
reduce individual
Yeah.
costs of mortgage to share the expense under the same roof. Yeah, those are things that people are doing, and so to that end, I am looking at strategies to generate to make it easier and to make it possible for the younger generation who's looking at these daunting housing prices, especially here in California,
California. Yep.
and to be able to afford them and get into that. So to that end, we do have several new products and things to talk about. First, and the easiest thing is that conforming loan limits have just been announced, and so those were raised. So that's the conforming is now 766,500, and the high balance conforming is just over $1 million now. These are San Diego County limits.
Mm-hmm.
And on up to a 4-unit, the conforming limit is 1.474 million, and the high balance is just under $2 million, 1.935 million. So that expands a lot of programs into higher LTVs, some with better rates. So that's an opportunity. Here's another one that just got announced that I'm actually more excited about, and that is Fannie Freddie just announced that now you can do 2 to 4 units with 5% down, owner occupied.
Wow.
So you could buy a 4-unit property with 5% down, and you move into one of the units, and you're using the income from the other 3 to help you qualify for the purchase. So if you've got something that is renting well, or the market rent potentially could, be solid on that, that really can go a long way to help you qualify. Maybe even, pay your portion of that payment, so
Right.
you can live roughly rent free, and certainly build equity faster than you would if you bought a small condo.
Yeah.
So that's something that's pretty exciting.
That's really exciting. That's a great investment.
Yeah,
To do something like
obviously the catch to that is going out there and finding those.
Yeah.
Because the 2 to 4 units are quite popular these days, but
yeah.
you could also create that. And so here's my next point. Fannie Mae Home Style allows you to do construction, so you can buy someplace that is a complete fixer-upper and really needs help, so you get it at a good rate. And Home Style will allow you to lend for the construction cost. So you can say, let's give an example, say it's a $500,000 purchase. The place needs $100,000 to make it livable. But once you've put $100,000 into it, now it's going to be worth $700,000. Mm-hmm. So you can borrow based on the future appraised value, and that basically you can put 5% down on that and get all that equity up front. Is a real great way. Mary Ann,
hold on just a second before you. I'll put it back up. I just want to hold on, Mary Ann. We're not ignoring you, but Karen, did you hear the new program? I don't know if you logged in time about putting 5% down on a 2 to 4 unit property, because I know that's something that Karen has had. So I'm just throwing that out there, Karen. You don't have to answer if I'm going, beyond what you want to talk about in the comments. But okay, now Mary Ann's turn. Let's see. I'll read it. I have been approached by a lender who claims to be able to close a traditional buyer within 10 days by getting them all the way through the process prior to finding a property. Is this a trend that is coming, or are you already doing something like this?
I've got one in my pipeline right now that is TBD pre-approved. So, the typical route is I'll take an application and I'll pull a credit, and now I'll pull a credit and then do automated underwriting approval, and that's what I'll use to base my my letter for, and send you out with the letter. But I can lately, in fact, again, right now, I've got one where I've actually gone the next step and actually submitted it to underwriting, gotten all the income docs approved, got assets, all that stuff approved. So now we're just TBD waiting on the specific property stuff.
That's really cool too. Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt. Keep going. Yeah.
Sorry, another cool twist on that is I have a lender now who's letting us do soft pulls. So when I take the application and I want to submit it for automated underwriting, we're doing a soft pull and using that soft pull for automated underwriting. What is a soft pull, you might ask? Good question.
Good question.
You're really sharp. It doesn't show up on credit report as a hard pull, and it doesn't show up for trigger leads. So you don't have other real estate agents chasing your client because it pops up on their credit report that they shopped with C2 Financial. So other people know that they're out shopping for a mortgage,
right,
and shopping for a property.
Yeah.
So that's a great program.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I did not know what a trigger lead was, by the way, before we got on, but Dennis and I were talking in the background before we started.
Hang on one second.
It's okay.
I lost you. Hang on one second.
You lost me? Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just going to talk. Dennis taught me what a trigger lead was. So if you don't know what a trigger lead is, Charlotte, I'm sure you do. He educated me on what a trigger lead was. I found that fascinating. Not surprised that it happens, but are you back? Can you hear me now, Dennis? There's always a glitch. I'm watching while Dennis is doing that. I am going to play with this and see. Can you now see? Give it a minute to populate, because I know when I do it this way, once it populates, you can see each other's comments better. However, Dennis, sometimes it cuts off the other person's head, but he seems to be okay. See, now it's starting to pop up. So I want to know by the audience if you like it this way because you can see more comments, or do you like it better this way? I don't have a preference as long as Dennis' head isn't getting cut off. I think, Karen, when you and I went live, it kept cutting you off, and all I could see was like above this. So I didn't keep it that way. Okay, Dennis, are you back?
How about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. So I was just chatting about what you were teaching me about the trigger leads and how I did not know what they are. I'm not surprised that happens. And then we got a question or a comment from Charlotte. Credit bureaus making money by selling credit pulls to other lenders and realtors. Yes, that's exactly what I was being educated on. Yeah. All right. So, and then I was asking how they like the format. Dennis, you must see that I changed the format. So I was asking which format they like, and I think this is the one that they're voting on. If I'm wrong, this is format number 1. So if you like number 1, I'll leave it this way, because Dennis, I can see all of you. Sometimes when I go live this way and I do it in this format, I only can see the other person like from the nose up, but you're all in. So I'm going to leave it this way. Teresa says she likes it. We can hear you.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So thank you for helping me with the graphics. I'm going to leave it this way because I think they can see each other's comments better when it's in this format. Like Facebook can see LinkedIn comments, where the other way, I don't think they could see each other. So any questions while we're sitting here talking to some phenomenal humans, either for me or for Dennis or for anybody in the chat? What you got? Test Dennis. Let's test him.
So without any other questions, one of the other programs that I wanted to touch base on also are the zero down programs. So now we do have zero down FHA with down payment assistance second, and there's a few different ways to do that, but it is zero down. So as long as so that's going up to a 50% debt to income ratio, which still can be a challenge, of course, given how high prices are right now, but you can go up to 50% debt to income. They're reasonably pretty good rates and zero down. And so that's quite a help. Also, there's no income restriction on that product as well. So
interesting.
It's not like you have to be in 80% of AMI.
So how do you keep your clients up to date on all of this? All this new stuff? What do you do?
Well, I don't. And I don't know, maybe that's bad. Maybe I should be. And when you say client, I think of the actual borrowers.
Okay, well, okay, so let me be more specific. So no, so you and I are not on the same page, but we will be in about 10 seconds. You have realtors that you work with, right? And you know that they're out there helping their buyers and doing the best they can for their buyers. How do you let them know, hey, this just came up today, which now will spark, oh, let me call my buyer because they're going to want to know this. So let's talk about your realtor database.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been collecting as I do transactions and work with people. I collect names and numbers and addresses, email addresses, and I don't have a regular schedule, but when I have something worthy of sharing, then I'll send out it's too loose to even call it a newsletter, but I'll just an email that says, hey, I've got this exciting program, or this is happening, or something. If I have something relevant to say, then I'll send something out.
Yeah. Well, personally, I have a newsletter and I love it, so I don't want to trash newsletters. However, not we're all busy, right? So if it's a newsletter, they might say, "Oh, I can open that later. It's a newsletter. I'll look at it later." An email that says urgent new program, most likely they're going to open it up sooner. So I'm not trashing newsletters. I'm not putting that out in the universe, but there's nothing wrong with you throwing out an SOS kind of email, right? And letting them know.
Yeah.
Let me see what Charlotte's got going. Yeah. And they need to know, because I was a realtor. I didn't always know what was happening in the lending industry. I was really hoping somebody would let me know, right? So I could tell my client. That's kind of out of my wheelhouse. Let's see. So since first-time home buyers were already used to super high Cali prices, I don't know if they're used to it, but we do like living here.
Well, I mean, I have seen quite a few transactions where parents are helping their children out with down payments. I mean, so a down payment isn't necessarily requisite to make a transaction happen, but obviously you're reducing the loan amount, so you make it a little more affordable.
Yeah, absolutely. Charlotte wants to know, what is your favorite tool for marketing that you do with your agents, or do you have a favorite tool?
So I'm a bit old school. In our C2 quarterly meeting recently, we had a couple come up, and they're like one of the top producers in California, and she was raving about social media and how she puts her life out there on Instagram, and she's on Instagram every day. Hey, this is us at the office. This is us at the gym. This is us at the grocery store. And I think it's great that it works for her. I'm happy for her, but it's not me. I can't do it. And I've tried different, I've tried different marketing programs, lead buying programs and stuff, and none of it's really worked for me. What's worked for me over my career is just solid networking. And I've made a commitment, recommitted to being a better networker this year. That's kind of that's my new goal for the next year, is be a better networker and be more organized about it, and more detailed about it. So that's what works for me. I know different things work for different people.
Absolutely. And I know what works for Charlotte is different than what works for you. However, Dennis, what people aren't seeing, they're seeing that you're extremely professional and knowledgeable about your profession. They're not seeing how funny you are, because I know you through networking, right? So I have to share that in our networking group, we had to be somebody else when we had in our BNI networking for Halloween. I had to be Dennis. Just coincidentally, I was just remembering that. I totally forgot until just now when you said be a better networker, and I'm like, I had to be Dennis for BNI, and so I asked Dennis what his favorite superhero was, and he said Wolverine. So I showed up with the Wolverine claws and played Dennis for BNI. It was fun. You have a great sense of humor. Yeah.
Well, what I discovered at some point in my journey is that you do better when you're your authentic self, and to relax and not try to present a certain face to people I work with, people I'm networking with, whatever. I am who I am. If I'm going to be goofy in that moment, that's who you're dealing with. I'm somebody who can be goofy in that moment, but I know my shit. And
you do.
and so I those two things can exist at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anybody wants to share their favorite superhero, mine's Wonder Woman, but there's no surprise there.
It really
So
wasn't even a superhero; it was character.
character.
And
That's right. I asked you who your favorite character was. Yeah.
and the first one I named was Preacher from this random show
Yes,
that
you
hardly
did.
anybody's seen,
Yeah.
and it was a tough one to pull off.
Yeah. But somebody did come as Preacher, didn't they, in our
No,
BNI group?
that I shared a picture of me doing
You
it for
shared.
Halloween one year.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So everybody's got to share in the comments who your favorite character is, superhero. I know I did a Mary Poppins post. And I really hesitated about sharing the Mary Poppins post. It's social media is a challenge for me sometimes. It might look like it's easy because Tanya just posted something, but I think about it for a long time before I post it. But the Mary Poppins post was super popular. So, because that is my password for just about everything. Now that I'm putting it out in social media, I have since changed my password, but that was my password for everything. It was Mary Poppins. Um, if you know
Marianne.
your shit, you can have more fun. Love it. There you
But
go.
below
There's
that,
a bumper sticker.
Marianne asked, being with a large lending organization, are you able to do loans across state lines, or do you refer borrowers to a lender in an appropriate state? And so that is a really good question. And so I happen to be licensed in California and Washington State, and C2 does have a program, a referral program. So if I get a loan for Arizona or Nevada or Texas, whatever, then I deal with the people in my corporate office, and they refer it out to a C2 approved loan officer, and they're only giving it to their high producers. So they're referring it to their high producers, the people who are, really are good and proven and can
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Good. All right. So we got one answer. We got Queen Elizabeth. Thank you, Susan, for playing. That's interesting. Queen Elizabeth the First. Well, that's going to be my first question to you next time we talk. Very interesting. Anything else? It's been a half an hour. I want to honor everybody's time and not go over too much. But if there's any more questions, comments, it was fun. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Also, if you do have questions for Dennis or want to get in touch with Dennis, how do they find you? Unfortunately, I did not create a banner. I will next. I just forgot. Just my brain farted. So just let people know how they can find you.
Well, my email is easy, Dennis Sakofsky at gmail.com, DennisSakofsky at Gmail. But I also have my websites, which are, well, is there a chat where I could put this in?
You can afterwards. After Restream is done playing and gathering all the recordings, you
Okay.
can go back into my Facebook or LinkedIn and you can put all your information. So, give it about 5 minutes and then I'd go in and yes, you can go in and add to the chat. You can't
Okay.
do it right now. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So
All right.
just put it in.
Yeah. I mean, I've got my websites, dsakofsky, c2mortgage.com, and Reverse Mortgage Carlsbad is another side of mine, because I'm a big believer that under the right circumstances, reverse is a fantastic tool.
Yeah. Yes. And, all right. So I'm going to just interrupt Marianne's thought for a minute. I love Mary Poppins' image. So my love of Mary Poppins now is her bag, right? So Dennis has tools in his Mary Poppins bag for lending, right? Tanya Bugby has tools in her bag for coaching. I have a lot of coaching tools, and it's important for me to keep them sharp, as it is important for Dennis to keep his tools sharp, or realtors, right, have tools in their toolbox for their clients. So yeah, the Mary Poppins bag is a really good metaphor, Marianne. Now you can see what you want to put in your Mary Poppins bag. All right, Dennis, please go and put your information. Thank you for doing this. I do know that next week, I'm pretty sure Agne is going to come on. So she's a realtor that we both network with. And then I'd like you to both come on together.
It'd be fun.
After the holidays, right? We'll take a break over the holidays and then come back with you and Agne. And anybody else who's in the chat, you want to go live with me? Susan, Marianne, Karen, Charlotte has gone live with me. Charlotte, I will go live with you anytime. Just let me know and we'll get you in the calendar. So thank you everybody for showing up today. Dennis, a special thank you.
Thank you.
And let's see if I can sign us off. Bye, everybody.
Bye.